Hey fellas, well, seeing as how the Sonic the Hedgehog sequel is coming this April, and much like the Detective Pikachu video I did last year, here I think I'll do something similar with this movie. Okay, so having just watched it again, and then to get ready, I will talk about why the 2020 version of Sonic the Hedgehog works as a live action adaptation of its material and as a video movie role, so let's get this started. I've mentioned this before in the past, but the Sonic the Hedgehog series has very widely in terms of adaptation quality, but I found something enjoying almost all of them over the years, and this is no exception. I mean, I was wondering how they were going to be doing this when I first heard about this movie finally getting made, given how many other pitches they had gone through before they finally were able to get it working. And I will say this, the whole idea of being like a road trip buddy comedy with this sort of like reverse isekai thing going on is actually, as I've suggested, something that makes a weird kind of sense, much like how with Detective Pikachu, voice live action Pokemon film means something like a neo noir detective story, right? And this is another case where the point's going to be connecting throughout the entire review, so let's get this going. Yeah. This is definitely going to continue when I go to see the new movie, as well as talk about that. At, but it also applies here too. The casting choices for this film were definitely a large part of what made it work. I mean, you had had Ben Schwartz as Sonic himself, who was really enjoyable as both the new Dewey Duck out on the 2017 DuckTales, Leo and Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as well as being on Parks and Recreation, all three of which amused me significantly. And with that in mind, and there's also James Marsden as the friendly Tom Wachowski, who provided a vital ally to Sonic, something like being like the straight man to the more wild persona of this hedgehog. And also, especially in the case that the photo I showed you of Jim Carrey as Dr. Evo, Eggman Robotnik, especially given how he's going to be getting his wish to wear the fat suit in the sequel. Maybe the Mushroom Hills had an Olive Garden. I don't know. And when he said it would be back by Christmas, given how the first tease dropped last December, he technically was in line. Yeah. I've mentioned this in the previous stanza, however, I think it bears mentioning again that, as we all know, adapting source material isn't the same as adapting other works of art. Case in point. I mean, even though the film is at its core like a road trip buddy picture, I mean, it's definitely one that has some sci-fi infusions to it, and also, in a weird way, it's something you can put to source material in a sense where they basically set up this year's sequel near the beginning of the movie, which doesn't happen very often. Sometimes it happens where you plant the seeds for follow-up near the beginning of the movie rather than the end, if you're lucky. Hey, but not often. Especially like the map of the safe worlds actually being based on the design of the original game, having like the Sega Saturn icon, and also definitely like how the Mushroom Hill Zone from Sonic and Knuckles played a part. I still very amused by the subtle dig at the mushrooms on the launch of Marvel's Mario and Nintendo. Or just again deal with the anime reboots that comes, given how like the director didn't have any mention of like the trailers yet. So, but with that in mind, it wasn't quite as dark as Detective Pikachu was, but it was still every bit as delightfully weird and fun at the same time. And Sonic himself managed to strike a nice balance between like the more laid back personality he is in Japanese canon, the more fast witted toad he has in the West. So definitely good on that. Yeah. Seeing this is one of 3 movies I saw right before everything happened, the other two being Onward and Birds of Prey, you might say that humor and action were definitely two of the things that helped get me through this current situation and still have. I mean, and notably, the whole idea of this one actually worked out really well, even though this was Jeff Fowler's first made motion picture, or indeed first one movie of any kind, at least feature length. He had previously only directed like the animated show Go for Broke. Oh, I mean, in many ways, the whole approach material plays like a more family version of Deadpool, which definitely tells something about the kind of one that got me in there, given how I like both Sonic and Deadpool at this point in my life. I definitely enjoyed how I had to play to both of those ones, and especially given how with Jim as Robotnik, how he's definitely is good at playing comedic villains, as has been seen with Count Olaf, the Grinch, and the Riddler, name a few. So it definitely he kept the pacing, and there are definitely a good amount of people in the audience, hence which I'll mention. I do my last couple parts here, and also the action, how it had a lot of Easter eggs in the games in there as well. I mean, how it took place across a bunch of locales, and I'm definitely looking for the sequel, potentially expanding upon that as well. So yeah, yeah. When you're making a movie of this kind, it's nine. I'll definitely be tying this together. My number one reason about why this movie works, like the visual and sound, were definitely things you really need to get right, and fortunately, they definitely did a good job with it overall. Like how they managed to include quite a lot of iconography from the games in interesting, unique ways. Is while also simply taking place as if in our world, like how even though they only have like the Green Hills on music really briefly near the end on this Calliope, I mean, DJ tune composer Tom Jugix Hulkenborg once again definitely managed to incorporate the game's sound of electronic music, driving rock, and orchestral sounds given how his work on movies such as Max Fury Road, the aforementioned Deadpool, and several DC Extended Universe movies. So definitely, I'm glad to see he's still gonna be active and one of the many crew that's coming back with the sequel. Well, and on that note, how it's also had make sure it works well as a film, like how that's especially we for number one reason about why it works is if it's going to be important, and given how whether we're talking like 2D installments on the Sega Genesis or the more recent installments in 3D, including the upcoming Sonic Frontier, formerly working on Sonic Rangers, it's definitely going to be, I mean, a quite a clear example of how this was I managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. So yeah, here we go with my number one reason why this works. As you can tell by this point in my life, I'm definitely a guy that's more than known about being open about something and something whether or not I like it. I mean, and I know something I realized in this fandom a while ago. I mean, even if I may not be as vocal as others or as against the idea of change as others, even I am not above admitting something. If something doesn't work, then it really doesn't. I mean, case in point. I mean, it's the I was more in like the whole laughing and joking of the original design rather than like the whole being repulsed in horror as other people, which even I will admit gave me flashbacks of both like the OG Mario Brothers from 1993, that movie, as well as like the as real live action Scooby Doo movies I had a while back, man. Like so, and however, while Paramount and Sega were initially just trying to dismiss the matter, they were expecting they would just blow over like it did with Transformers and TMNT. It did not. In fact, especially after the success of Detective Pikachu and how initially like And also, the difference in response is also even in the film itself, like how that couple wanted to snuggle Pikachu, who and Tom end up tranking Sonic in that scene where. So it was also on the pointing out that like the whole like the one on my shirt here that we could definitely do like a game mega song with today's CG technology as shown with these Wreck-It Ralph movies, as well as WB's Ready Player One, on which they finally decided, okay, going to delay the movie and retool this on this main. So I think the results were definitely well worth it. Yeah. The results definitely spoke for themselves. I mean, it also helps that they got Tyson Hesse, a major designer of a highly acclaimed Sonic Mania, on board, even helping contribute into the animated main adventure shorts. Or it's, I mean, not only was it actually pretty well received, which is only one of the, I guess, a small handful of video game adaptations to get a positive rating from critics and audiences. As, I mean, making over $300 million worldwide, including well over $140 million in the US. As, I mean, it's actually got Paramount new franchise in the process, as well as having Sega expressing interest in adapting their other games into other mediums. As a result, I mean, like Shenmue, the animation just started hit on Adult Swim and Crunchyroll. And one of the things I'm definitely most interested in is like a reboot of House of the Dead that's more horror themed with Jason Statham's Agent G. So that is essentially all the reasons why I believe that Sonic the Hedgehog works as a live action adaptation, and hopefully that Paramount, Sega, and everyone involved can keep this momentum for the sequel. And based on how responses are to who the to the bit promotion of the big game as well as the Olympics, I definitely can see that. We've already got a couple of memes already, like the ones of like all the fans of Sonic and Tails in their snowsuits, as well as the presence of Idris Elba as Knuckles. Also mean like, do I look like I need your power? So I'll definitely be seeing you all again very soon, especially in the near future. Going to be talking about video adaptation that's much less enjoyable than this one. I'm on other topics. That'll be all for now. So, gotta speak, kid. Hmm.